In terms of actions, Alex, that we have taken, or we're working to take, I should say, from the federal government, we've increased disinformation research and tracking within the Surgeon General's office. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation.
No one in your office has ever met with, coordinated, or otherwise engaged in any contact with a social media company in which you spoke to them about vaccine mandates, about COVID mask mandates, about the withdrawal from Afghanistan, about the current U.S. involvement in Ukraine. None of that has ever happened.
I don't know what you're referring to, Senator.
Welcome back to Notify America. We have multiple pressing stories to get to. Stories that include Senate Republicans officially blocking the new border security bill. Top Republican Mitch McConnell comes out yesterday to say no, Senate GOP will not be supporting this bill. Also, Trump wins another election yesterday in the great state of Nevada. If you didn't hear about it, it's likely because he wasn't even on the ballot there. Nikki Haley's name was on the ballot. Mike Pence was on the ballot. Tim Scott was on the ballot, but Trump, not on the ballot. And he still won. We'll explain. We also look at a new clip of Mark Cuban telling an audience last weekend how Elon Musk's X is full of hate speech and that he wants to see something done about it. Look, this is the beginning. We're 10 months out now from November, and X is a target for these people. Also, more stories, by the way, from around the world that are important. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. And make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these daily updates. Donald Trump has won the great state of Nevada yesterday. The primary/caucus was held and voters turned up from around the state to cast their ballot, and the results were interesting. Nevada's election system, very odd, especially this year. The state legislature passed a law in 2021 that established a primary, even though they still technically have the traditional caucus system, resulting in this odd turn of events, a confusing turn of events, where both a primary and a caucus were held this year, causing major confusion for voters. And in the process, Donald Trump's name was left off the ballot, deciding to only participate in the caucus and skip the primary altogether. So what happened? Well, voters had to choose none of the candidates if they wanted to vote for him. And so that's what they did. Even with Trump's name not being listed, he still managed to kick the pants off Nikki Haley, winning 63% of the vote, while Haley took 31%, Mike Pence received 4%, and Tim Scott ended with only 917 votes, or 1.4%. Trump posted this on Truth last night saying, quote, "A bad night for Nikki Haley, losing by almost 30 points in Nevada to none of these candidates. Watch, she'll soon claim victory," he says. In another story, RNC chairwoman Ronna McDaniel has informed Donald Trump that she will be resigning after the South Carolina primary in 2 weeks. Good riddance. Likely a direct result of Vivek Ramaswamy calling her out on stage during the primary debates. Look, that's how you make things happen, right? You can't solve a problem without talking about the problem.
Swamy, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. Do you think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.
Sorry. This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to
That's how we unite this
Governor
country.
Christie. Why you?
In another story, President Biden uses his bully pulpit yesterday to claim the border crisis is Republicans' fault and claims Donald Trump, he's the one to blame. Blame Trump, not me. He's the one who doesn't think that the new border security bill is a good deal. Watch the gaslighting on full display.
Doing nothing is not an option. Republicans have to decide. For years, they said they want to secure the border. Now they have the strongest border bill this country has ever seen. We're seeing statements about how many oppose the bill now. Look, I understand the former president is desperately trying to stop this bill because he's not interested in solving the border problem. He wants a political issue to run against me on. I've all but said that across the board. No one really denies that I'm aware of. The American people want a solution that puts an end to the empty political rhetoric, which has failed to do anything for so long.
This comes as the new Senate insecurity bill that Republicans and Democrats negotiated is now officially on ice, as Mitch McConnell, the top Republican in the Senate, announces the bill won't be moving forward with GOP support. This means that both the House and Senate Republicans are not on board, which is funny because Mitch McConnell was the one who told Senator Lankford to negotiate the deal in the first place, and for weeks he was fully on board with it. Well, that was until he saw the backlash that came from normal Americans. And look, this is the first time a grassroots crowdsourcing effort on X was able to dig through and report the details of a bill before it got passed, kneecapping the uniparty's normal process, right, of passing a bill before anyone can read it for themselves. They do that all the time. That's what these people do. They ran these massive omnibus packages and bills through before anyone can even read them. Well, X single-handedly brought this bill down, saved the American taxpayer $118 billion, stopped Ukraine military aid in the process, and prevented normalizing or legalizing the catastrophe that we're seeing at the southern border. Which brings us to our next story. House Republicans failed to impeach DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, with 4 Republicans voting with Democrats: Tom McClintock, Ken Buck, Blake Moore, and Mike Gallagher. Ken Buck we spoke about last week. He's not running for re-election, so he doesn't have to be primaried. But Mike Gallagher is disappointing. I like Mike Gallagher a lot. He's been pushing for UAP transparency. He's also the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, a very powerful position, especially when it comes to getting answers on the UAP issue. He's one of only a handful of congresspeople who have SAP clearance, where he's able to be read into these special access programs, these black budget programs for oversight purposes. And look, it's much better that he's in that role than someone else. So, I'll let him pass on this one. Now, the primary reason that these 4 Republicans voted against impeachment, they say, is because there's no high crime or misdemeanor. And moving forward with impeachment would set a dangerous precedent going forward, they say, for the next president. Let me know what you think. Is allowing around 8,000 to 10,000 illegal aliens across the border each day and not doing anything to stop it for the most part, is that a high crime or misdemeanor or not? Let me know. In another story, Shark Tank star Mark Cuban was interviewed at an event over the weekend and claims that Elon Musk's X is a cesspool, representing the worst of social media, that it's filled with hate speech. And he thinks something needs to be done about it. Watch this.
Now, social media has changed. It's no longer social. And since Twitter became X, I was telling you, Yasmin, Twitter has become just a cesspool for hate. And so trying to go there and change people's mind, I've seen people try, and then everybody just gangs up. And Instagram, just people avoid it. And then same with LinkedIn, it's just not that platform. Social media, I don't see as being that place. I think you've got to go face to face. I'd rather, that's why when I have these conversations, I go where I know people are going to disagree with me. whether it's DEI or whatever.
Look, this is the go-to line for elites who are pro-censorship. Whenever you hear the word hate speech, or the two words hate speech, you know that person who's saying it is pro-censorship. That's my opinion. They claim speech is dangerous, it incites violence, all because they don't like what someone says. We saw this under Twitter 1.0. The platform was completely one-sided, but now that it's an even playing field, these people realize how they can't compete in the battle of ideas. They need to censor the opposing side. For example, take DEI, which Mark mentions in the clip. He got pounded on X for supporting DEI a few weeks ago, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the practice of hiring based on gender and race quotas. Well, Mark's a heavy defender of DEI, and you tell me, is explaining why DEI is wrong, why you disagree with it, how you think it's inherently racist to hire people solely based off immutable characteristics, is that considered hate speech? See the problem here? Who decides what hate speech is? Who defines it? The government? People like Mark Cuban? I don't think so. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.